Hello, this is Jamie Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. So first we have most and least federally dependent states. This should be the sidebar image from wildhub.com by LXPiv, and that is a map of what they consider to be the most, what this study found to be the most and least federally dependent states. They found that the most, I think, dependent one was, let's see. Rank 1 is Alaska. Rank 50 would be, I don't know, California is 45. So I think the higher you are number-wise, the more you probably contribute to kind of Alaska. That's kind of out there, and they have to, import a lot of their food since you don't really have natural farms out there, so that's probably interesting. It's trying to find what number 50 is. Washington's 49. Let's see. Number 50 is New Jersey, because that's very urbanized. You can get stuff there very easily compared to Alaska. But regardless, I think even if a state's dependent on the government, they still should be able to secede. And I know Alaska has quite a big secessionist movement, and I think if they want to secede, they should be able to. I support secession down to the individual level. Even if you're federally dependent on the government, it's never too late to stop being dependent on the government, and you can you can do that by declaring your independence and getting your own resources. We can always try and get your own resources. You can't rely on the state for everything. Then we have, what's the libertarian opinion on this? From Musk's ex fails to block California content moderation law from Bloomberg.com by CalDog Curmudgeon. And they said, on one hand, I don't care for the government interfering with private industry. However, this law is to make social media companies be transparent about their content moderation policy. I do find this ironic, because Twitter is even worse about its policy enforcement, but it wasn't owned by Elon, so no problem. So I said, the libertarian perspective is that the state shouldn't be telling private companies how to regulate speech, or ideally regulate them at all. I think Twitter, or X, or whatever he wants to call it, they should be able to regulate speech however they feel like, but it's private companies can do what they want until the narrative says otherwise, and this is a good example of that. Then we have, ladies and gentlemen, for our next Sideshow Act, I present the Mises Caucus, and that's a link to a tweet from the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. We're talking about Civil War today, and it says, Abraham Lincoln, Osama bin Laden, U.S. population was 31.4 million for Lincoln, 282,500,000 for bin Laden, percent murdered, 620,000 Lincoln, 2,996 for bin Laden, percent U.S. population 1.97 to 0.001, and they have pretty much all that stuff, and yeah, and I said, and Mises Caucus wording can get tiresome sometimes, but they are correct here. People justify Lincoln's horrible actions as president because they deem it to be worth it for getting rid of slavery. I would argue that outside of getting rid of slavery, every single precedent Lincoln set as president was a negative one. A lot of the government authoritarianism that we see today can be traced back to his administration. Remember that the lesser of two evils is still an evil. People always remember that when it comes to modern U.S. politics, but forget when it comes to the Civil War. Then we have We the People from Chabonet, and that's a picture of Joe Biden with that Secretary of State of Maine, that Sheena Bellows, and yeah, I think that is what she did. I don't think that's libertarian. I don't think one person should be deciding who is and who isn't on the ballot. But ultimately, it does come down to who has positions of government authority and who can enforce those positions. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Trump blocked from Maine presidential ballot in 2024 from BBC.com by Doctor Who 07. And I said, Dems really just only look just look desperate doing this. I doubt it holds up in the Supreme Court. And we have California police can no longer ask you this at a traffic stop starting 2024. Do you know where I pulled you over? From cron4.com by Clorox. And I personally think that's good. I don't think they should be asking that question, but I think you could argue that goes against free speech as well, because even if they're on the job, should they still have the free speech rights to ask that question? And I think that's a good question to ask. So then we have many Trump supporters believe God has chosen him to rule, from Economist.com by Clorox. And yeah, that's just, another, kind of orange man, bad Fred. We'll just kind of skip over that one. There are lots of crazy people on all sides of the political spectrum, and especially that in regards to Trump. Then we have revealed how Trump team reportedly flew flake elector ballots to D.C. to overturn election, from rawstory.com by Whittling Dan. And I said, all stories, categories, Wikipedia, which is something that is often seen as having left-wing bias, are far left politics in the United States, tabloid journalism, progressive in the United States, totally neutral source though, because it's people only share bias sources really on social media that confirm their agendas. Then we have why the original Mickey Mouse copyright is expiring New Year's Day, from nypost.com by Chabonet. And I think that's good that more things should enter into the public domain sooner rather than later. And I think I'm glad that Mickey Mouse is finally entering, so hopefully we can get some more good stuff in the public domain soon. Then we have a shop owner in Germany was denounced as racist for complaining about migrants mass looting a store, while left-wing politicians sided with criminals, saying they were entitled to steal, from Modernity.news and from Chabonet. And I didn't comment on that one, but I do think, I personally am more pro-immigrant, but we need to hold migrants accountable, and right now people won't hold migrants accountable because the narrative says they're innately good, and that's just not true. Then we have, if the United States and the European Union do not provide Ukraine with a new aid package, its economy will go into survival mode. 500,000 civil servants and 1.4 million teachers will remain without salaries, and about 10 million pensioners will not receive their pensions. And that's a tweet from Sprinter 99800. Sprinter, and I personally think I think Ukraine, it's in a tough spot right now, but I don't think the U.S. should be forced to provide money if the taxpayers don't feel like it. And it's not Ukraine isn't the 51st state, same with Israel. And I think the United States needs to focus on its own issues first and foremost. Then we have obviously he's doing something right, from Chabonet, and that's a tweet from La Direccia Diario. The Communist International chooses Javier Milei as its greatest enemy for the year 2024 worldwide. And I agree, that's why libertarians are very anti-collectivist, but the communists are very collectivist, and that's why they don't like people who support stuff like deregulation and individual liberty, like Milei is trying to at the very least market himself as. He hasn't been perfect so far, but he's definitely been good, I would say. Then we have Bucks County mom behind conservative school movement charged with assault, giving teens alcohol, from phillyburbs.com by Kage blah blah blah. And I said she should have just been giving them hormones instead, sarcasm, because if she was giving them hormones, it would be completely fine, but she gives them alcohol instead, so it's the worst thing ever. Then we have, this is true, for no one who is not able to vote should be taxed. For International Silver One, a crossword from the Political Means subreddit, and it says, if 16, 17-year-olds can't vote, then their paycheck shouldn't be taxed at all, otherwise it's taxation without representation. And I would agree with that. Then we have, don't dox yourself, but how are you all doing? From your state officer. And they said, I put down Reddit for the most part when the third-party app debacle happened. I'm mostly on Lemmy now. Much smaller community, but honestly it's better because I spend less time online now. But we've always been such a small community that I've always felt some sort of attachment to the years on the subreddit. And that includes Jimmy, that's me. And as much as I've flamed you in the past, I really do hope you're doing well. As much as you've roasted you've proven to be at least principled enough that I think most of us we consider you one of us. But you're visiting the subreddit months later, I see the same familiars in your community up, so just ask you how you're all doing. And I said, and they blocked me, so I can't comment on it. But I think I'm doing pretty good, so I thank them for asking that. Yeah. Then we have Ohio's Republican governor vetoes trans care restriction and sports ban from NBCNews.com by Kage blah blah blah. And I didn't comment on this one, but I definitely think that is a small government position. I don't think I think it should be up to the individuals to choose, not the state. So I guess I would agree with that, even if I personally don't support transgender care for minors and transgender women in women's sports. Then we have the mess in Maine. The 2024 presidential election is already an unprecedented political quagmire from Racket.News by Chabonet. And I didn't comment on this one, but I think that it is ultimately it ultimately comes down to who has the force to do what and who's in the position of authority to do what, and that's ultimately what all elections come down to. What counts as a legitimate vote? It's ultimately subject to the discretion of who is in positions of authority. Then we have a free and open internet is a threat to the establishment from Mises.org by Chabonet. And I didn't comment to that one, but I agree, that's why they fear the free and open internet so much they want to censor it as much as possible. Then we have, it is historic. U.S. poised to see record drop in yearly homicides despite public concern over crime. ABC7.news.com by Kage blah blah blah. And I personally think that might just be because everyone's too busy. I said people are too busy circles working in social media to actually do any crime. So that's why I think that might be the cause of it right now, I would say. Then we have Maine, Colorado, and other states that might try to bureaucratically deny ballot access to any Republican nomination. Remember, the U.S. House of Representatives is the ultimate arbiter of whoever certified electors from those states, from Thomas Massey on Twitter. And I said, he's right. It does ultimately come down to who certifies the votes. As LBJ said, who counts the votes is arguably much more important than who does the actual voting, as you can see from his Box 13 scandal in 1948 when he kind of rigged the Democratic primary for himself for Senate in Texas. And that just goes to show you, if you can control who counts the votes and what counts the legitimate vote, then you ultimately control democracy. Elections don't actually matter. What matters is what people justify using them to do, I would say. Then we have Trump won't be the first non-Confederate barred from office by the 14th Amendment from Reason.com by 2000 Time of Charm. And I said, and they said basically the stuff progressives are cheering for have been used in the past to keep Red Scare socialists off the ballot. Consistency, people. I said the only consistency that most people have in regards to politics is that their party is right and everyone else is wrong. Then we have, are you in an anti-free speech state? We have the now definitive list from JonathanTurley.org by Chabonet. And let's see what he says. He says the anti-free speech states are Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, Wisconsin, and District of Columbia. And I would say, I would kind of agree with that. I think all of the states are increasingly cracking down on free speech, but I personally don't think, that's just, they're all more the Democrat states, and I don't think the Republican states are probably too good for free speech either, I would say. Then we have, now that presidents no longer need court cases to be found guilty of crimes, Barack Obama should be sent to Gitmo immediately without trial from LPNH on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said, just Obama, LOL, send them all there. Because, they're all guilty of crimes, but, they'll never charge them for it, and you see that with Trump as well. They'll probably never successfully charge him because he's one of the elites, but, if they can kick him off the ballot, why not just send them all to prison at this point, if people will justify if they justify. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have I'm gonna post a new thing from Todd Gopian on Twitter. I think he's the Libertarian Party secretary or something, national. And he said I think Maine and Colorado are wrong for kicking Trump off the ballot, but hearing the Trumpers squeal about ballot fairness is hysterical after they and Democrats have done anything everything they can to keep third parties up about the debate stage for years. And I would agree with that. I said, tell me about it. GOP operators sued me up about last year for signature reasons, but now it's the most pressing issue when it's their golden boy, shaking my head. So I think we're going to wrap up there. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.